tear in your body, like,
right.
50 miles from the finish line of the Baja 1000 when I won in 2012, I could see dead people.
Damn, you're hallucinating.
Like, yeah, my shoulder blades were bleeding. The inside of my thighs were bleeding. So it wears you down quite a bit. It's a very, very brutal form of race car driving.
Yeah, that's insane. I complain about driving to LA, man, but you're doing that times 10 probably.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you got BJ Baldwin here today. He's brought the dog. Thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, one of the most trained dogs I've ever seen. Well done.
Thank you. A little bit of work in there.
Yeah. So how'd you learn how to start training dogs and all that?
You know what? I've had pit bulls my whole life, and I worked with a lot of people a long time ago that train dogs, and learned quite a bit about it. They have so much more life, and so much more fun. You have more fun with them.
Yeah.
When you have a dog that does what you ask it to do, instead of something like, a lot of pit bulls are very, very high energy. I've had some like that. So it's like firing a gun inside of a tank, if you don't have them trained appropriately, like it is with most high energy dogs. But they're really, really game. They're very social, when you want them to be. He's a little bit antisocial. He's one of the few ones that I've had that just kind of keeps to himself and does what I tell him to do. So he's a good dog.
Yeah, that's cool to see because pit bulls get a bad rep, man.
Yeah, some of them do.
Every dog fight at a dog park, there's usually a pit bull involved.
Yeah, you got to have them sorted as a puppy and get them trained a little bit. It really with any dog. I mean, if you're lazy, with them as a puppy, then you go their whole lifespan with a dog that doesn't cooperate, doesn't behave. I've got him. It's strict obedience. He's reactive as it relates to like defense and stuff like that. But he does A, B, C, and D of whatever I say, and I've got him trained. Like you turn like the volume up a little bit every time you train when they're a puppy. Like if it's just you and the dog in the room and you tell the dog to sit and he figures out what you want him to do and he sits, like that's one accomplishment. Okay, now you have your friend in the room and it's two people in the room, and then that's the volume up on the mayhem a little bit more, and you tell him to sit and he does it. And then you have consistency and he does it every single time. Now you have like a whole party of people in your house and there's a bunch of distractions, and then you tell him to sit and he does it. That's another accomplishment. Now, like with him, like I can shoot at him. He can be down range and not shoot at him because obviously I'd hit him. I'm pretty good. But he can be like down range at the gun range in the desert, and I could be cranking off rounds of steel where he's safe, but he's down range and there's gunfire, and he will still do what I want. I wanted him to be really, really dialed like that, specifically this dog, because of, events in the last couple of years.
You also came without a leash.
Yeah, the leash is for everybody else.
Yeah.
He's really, really dialed. He does whatever I say, and I've kind of had him be a little bit antisocial. So he doesn't really mess with anybody. He's not really excited to see anybody or any other dogs. Like you could have a dog that's, not trained and ricocheting around the room, and he won't even mess with them until I tell him to.
Wow. What if a dog starts barking at him?
He'll just sit there.
Oh, he won't.
Unless if it's a bigger dog, then there's blood and hair everywhere. But but if it's a smaller
on site.
dog, yeah, it's on site. But if it's a smaller dog, he'll just sit there. Like I had a situation at I think it was like at the mall or something like that. About 6 months ago, they had these little white. I don't know what kind of dogs they are, but they're
Maltese.
Fluffy. Yeah, like a Maltese. And there was like 6 or 7 people that were in like a family, and they saw him. I was walking out of the restaurant, and it was just me and my kids were inside, and he's off leash, and these dogs just went bananas. They got out of their harnesses, both of them, and started sprinting over there. And these 6 or 7 people were like, "Oh my God, like he's going to kill my dogs right in front of me."
Yeah.
And I just told him to sit, and he sat there, and the dogs just went bananas right there, and everybody was like shocked.
Yeah, that is great, man. A lot of dogs would have gotten defensive and
Yeah, he's...
Are you tired of ordering on a menu in a different country only to be served snails? Why not actually speak the language and order what you want? That's where Babbel comes in. Speak like a whole new you with Babbel, the science-backed language learning app that gets you talking. Wasting hundreds of dollars on private tutors is the old school way of learning a new language. Babbel's 10-minute lessons are quick and handcrafted by over 200 language experts, ready to get you talking your way to a new language in just 3 weeks. Because talking is the key to really knowing any language. Babbel's advanced speech recognition is like having a personal language guru in your pocket, massaging your pronunciation whenever you open your mouth. With Babbel, you can learn everything you need from vocabulary to culture while holding your own in conversation with anybody. All it takes is just about 10 minutes a day. It's designed by real people for having real conversations, and it gets you talking. I've been going to a lot of Spanish-speaking countries over the last few months, and Babbel has come in clutch. I now know how to order food and ask where the restroom is when I travel. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/social hour. That's 60% off at babbel.com/social hour, spelled BABBEL.com/social hour. Rules and restrictions may apply.
He's pretty good at knowing what's a threat and what's not. You know? Like I said, he's very reactive as it relates to certain situations.
Absolutely. You've been shooting a lot lately?
Yeah, I shoot quite a bit. My girlfriend's a 56-time champion pistol shooter, youngest shooting sports champion, male or female in history, Tori Nonaka. So I shoot with her. Sometimes I do defensive tactics training, like handgun training, at least 3 times a month, sometimes 4 times a month. So, and I have personal standards that I like to accomplish as it relates to balance of speed and accuracy, specifically accuracy in the last 2 years. One of my exercises that I'm focused on last year is C-zone steel is like a piece of steel like this. Mm-hmm. And it's a balance of speed and accuracy drill, first round on target from the draw. I'm trying to being able to have a repeatable action of.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
First round on target from 100 yards in under 2 seconds.
Holy crap.
And I'm
100 yards. That's a football field, right?
Yeah, it's a ways. It's not like, it's not practical.
Yeah, that's a far distance.
in a defensive scenario, it's not very practical, but...
and that's with a pistol, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's with the handgun.
That is impressive, man.
It's not a lot of work for a rifle, but with a handgun,
yeah, handgun's definitely harder.
You got to be on your game.
You got a favorite gun?
You know what? I had Glocks for quite some time, and of course, you have like a bone stock Glock or any other striker fired pistol, and it's kind of like a Mustang. First, you get exhaust, and then wheels and tires, and then like all this stuff. You get trigger, slide work, barrel, all kinds of upgrades on like a striker fired pistol. But then I started messing with 2011s about 2 years ago, which is a 1911 style handgun that fires 9mm projectiles. And I'm not quite as fast coming out, like first round on target with a Glock. I used to be able to do 6400ths of a second inside of 5 yards.
Crap.
I used to be pretty quick. But with the 2011, it's a little bit heavier. It's about 1,200 grams as opposed to 630 grams. And so it slows me down probably 2,500ths of a second. 2/10, 2,500ths of a second. So I'm not quite as quick coming out, but in terms of managing specific objectives that I have out in the field, placed up random pieces of steel, once I get it out, I can deliver more energy a lot quicker, and my transitions are a lot quicker with a platform like that. And it's a little bit more accurate, a little bit more of a bond between biology and mechanics, like equipment.
Yeah.
It kind of favors, it's kind of tough to explain, but you just perform a little bit better with that. And that design's 110 years old. 1911 design's 110 years old. But I've shot Glocks. I've shot a lot of different striker-fired handguns. But right now, I'm kind of training with the 2011 for the last year and a half.
That's impressive that you measure by the second like that, man. That's some next level stuff.
Yeah, the clock is the only way you can measure progress. With like a competition shot timer that I have. So
are you competing with that too?
No. I've I did like an accuracy competition when I was 12
Okay.
with a revolver.
You were shooting at 12?
Oh, I was shooting machine guns when I was 9 years old.
Holy
With my
crap.
parents, yeah.
That is crazy.
But yeah, I did the youth division at American Shooters when I was 12 years old, and youth division was 12 to 17, and I think there was 60 competitors, and then overall there was like 240 former law enforcement, military, competitive shooters, and all that.
Wow.
I got third overall and first in youth division.
Holy crap. At 12? And you called the quits after that?
Yeah, that sounds like I'm undefeated. I'm like done. No, it was with a handgun, like a revolver that looked like it came out of Lake Mead. I mean, it was like an old
Oh, wow.
Dan Wesson
And
revolver.
you still got third with that?
Yeah, it was just like basic accuracy. There was no speed or stress
okay.
involved. 6 rounds in 30 seconds. And then like in 45 seconds, 6 rounds, reload 6 rounds at 50 yards. So it was, it wasn't like a high stress, like a regular IDPA or USPCA pistol competition where you have to race the clock to engage 18 different targets.
That's what your girlfriend does.
Yeah.
I think I've seen those. Is that what Keanu Reeves does?
He doesn't compete, but that's the type of training he's done. Actually, Tori was one of the first people to train Keanu for.
Oh, really?
For John Wick, yeah,
Wow.
a long time ago.
That
And
is cool.
Taryn Butler from Taryn Tactical, he's a really good friend of ours, and helped train Tori, helped develop her skill set. But yeah, all that training came from competitive pistol shooting.
That is cool. Shooting at 9 years old. What? Got
Yeah.
some cool parents, man.
Yeah,
I remember I shot a shotgun when I was like 14, sent
Oh,
me
they're-
flying back.
they're no fun. I hate
Shotguns?
shotguns. Oh my god.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. It scared me, honestly.
Yeah, the recoil impulse is just incredible with
Yeah.
shotgun. I have some really cool shotguns, but I don't like messing with
It
them.
hurts, man. Your shoulders
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah, like I go through when I go shooting, or I go training like on a Saturday or Sunday, and I got my target set up. I'll go through 1,000 rounds.
Holy crap.
And it's like, 90 minutes or something like that, and it's not like a big deal. But you could never go through that with the shotgun unless you were like an Olympic competitor shooting low recoil impulse shot shells and stuff like that for clay pigeons and stuff. But
Absolutely.
with buckshot and slugs and for defensive use, like you would never want to.
Yeah.
That sucks.
For sure. You ever go hunting?
Yeah, I went bird hunting for quite some time with my family growing up, with my father.
That sounds hard.
Yeah, I never really practiced with a shotgun. I was always really, really good with a handgun. But we used to hunt dove, quail, duck, pheasant, geese. My dad was always really, really good. I've been hunting birds with my dad since I was a kid, like 8 or 10 years old. And he doesn't practice at all, but he knocks everything out of the sky. Like,
Wow.
He's really, really good with a shotgun.
That's impressive because you got to predict where they're going, right?
Yeah,
And
you
then-
got to have them like run into the pattern in order to bring them down. And then we cook that stuff like the same day at Mandeville Island, which is a duck hunting lodge.
Yeah.
And we cook that stuff the same day, and it's like amazing.
Sounds good. I love
It's-
duck, man.
It's so good.
Duck is one of my favorite birds to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, duck's awesome.
You still doing the racing too, the off-road stuff?
Yeah, still doing trophy truck racing. Won a championship last year.
Damn.
And it's our 8th championship. So we just did the Mint 400 and got a solid top 10 finish at the Mint 400, but we had some problems at that race.
What happened?
That particular race for my truck, because it's so rough and the terrain is very square, the bumps are like 3 feet tall.
Holy
and
crap.
We're trying to go over them at like 80 to 110 miles an hour.
Damn, that's half
So-
my body. That's a big ass bump.
Yeah, it produces a lot of shock load in the transmission based on how my geometry is set up in the rear end. It has a lot of forward bite, so it accelerates really well for a truck that's so heavy.
Yeah.
But we lost a torque converter, but that's pretty typical for that particular race.
Okay.
About 70% of the Class 1s or unlimited trucks or trophy trucks at that particular race have some kind of mechanical failure because it's such a rough course.
That is insane.
Yeah, so we lost a converter on the second lap, had to change transmission, and got back out and finished. So
How many laps was it?
It was 4.
Oh, okay.
383 miles, something like that.
Oh, so they're huge laps.
Yeah. Yeah, they're 80-something miles or something like that.
Holy crap, yeah. It's not like NASCAR where it's just like a little...
No, yeah. Usually, like, the type of racing that I do, it's usually point to point. So you have one opportunity to hit this corner, at, the maximum speed that you can hit it without going too slow and losing time or being upside down and on fire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like with a road race, you get to do, 80 laps with the same 5 or 6 corners, but none of my corners look the same.
Got it.
And it's not just corners. It's like big bumps, big ditches, holes, jumps, blind rises, cliffs, sweeping corners, differences in speed from 15 miles an hour to 153 miles an hour. So it's definitely a different dimension from regular road racing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot more factors to account for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even know off-road racing was a thing until I started studying you, man.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me.
It's a lot of fun.
Is it a newer kind of racing style, or has it been around for a while?
No, it's been around since 1968.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's when the Baja 1000 started. And then the Baja 1000, the Baja 500, San Felipe, 250. There's a Baja 400. And then there's a bunch of races stateside, Vegas to Reno, some races in Laughlin. But we've had some pretty good success. I won the Baja 1000 twice, won the 500, won several score championships.
Yeah.
So we've done pretty good.
That's awesome.
It's definitely a very unique form of motorsports. It's I always say, like, race car, you have 60, 70, 80 people that are designing this platform to accelerate well, turn very well, and slow down very well. Regardless of what form of motorsports it is, they're all designed to do those 3 things very, very well, except for maybe drag racing is different, obviously. My truck doesn't do any of that. My truck's 7,000 pounds. It makes 1,100 horsepower. The tires weigh 136 pounds.
Wow.
So it doesn't accelerate, decelerate, or change direction. But what makes it really unique and special is it can go really fast through really rough terrain. Like my test section's, a mile and a half long. It's where we do suspension testing and development. Yeah. And, like a Ford Raptor would go through there at 25 or 26 miles an hour. My trophy truck goes through at 118.
Holy crap.
16, 118. And it's not like a challenge of am I going to be able to hit this bump so fast? It's how do I keep the thing straight? Because it's barely skipping across the ground. How do I keep it straight and keep the aerodynamic platform as small as possible so it's not scrubbing aerodynamically or scrubbing the terrain? And you want to keep it straight and get the power down as much as possible to get through certain rough parts of the course very quickly.
Wow, that's insane. And the Baja 1000 is 1,000 miles?
They have a loop race that's about 900 miles. It's very, very rough and technical. And then the point-to-point race is a little over 1,100 miles. Some courses are about 1,300 miles. Some are 1,050.
Yeah, so you got to make pit stops and everything.
Yeah. People ask me if I get breaks on a 20-hour race.
Oh, it's 20 hours?
Oh, yeah.
Holy.
When I won it in 2012, it was 20 hours and 14 minutes and 58 seconds.
That is insane.
And they ask if I get breaks. I was like, yeah, I get 5 fuel stops. My 28 seconds, I get fuel and tires. I do that 5 times, and then I'm back on the road.
Damn, I did not realize it was that long. So you're locked in for 20 hours.
Yeah, and you really got to, especially, there's not too many people that have won the Baja 1000, doing the whole race in the last 15 years. You really got to be able to conserve your energy and, lower your respiration rate, heart rate, blood pressure, and not get super excited because you kind of run yourself out
The adrenaline wears off, right?
Yeah. I don't really have too much adrenaline when I'm racing. I'm actually pretty relaxed. Yeah.
That's impressive because you're going 100 miles per hour on all this rocky terrain and you're super calm.
Yeah, I try and stay, pretty calm. I tend to. I've learned over the years that like I'll last longer. I'll have more energy if I have to. Say if on corrected time, I'm chasing somebody down.
Yeah.
And I'm in a position to lead the race on corrected time, or I have to get in front of somebody by so much time to get into a fuel pit, and I have to run a little bit harder than I'm comfortable with, then that's going to consume some energy because that's when I start to get uncomfortable, like I'm taking a substantial amount of risk. So in 20 miles, I can get in and out of the fuel stop in 28 seconds without having some savage driver, because they're all world-class drivers. Half the field are savages, really, really good drivers. Luke McMillan, Bryce Menzies, Rob McCachran, Robbie Gordon, like all these guys. So really intense battles like that consume energy. So I try and stay as calm as possible. I find I make the best decisions in terms of entering this corner, that corner, going over this rise when I'm calm, cool, and collective. I could typically drive pretty good, pretty fast.
Yeah, dude, that's impressive because you're basically fighting your biological senses of pumping adrenaline and all this stuff in your body, and you're just mentally pushing that to the side. Yeah,
it's definitely something that I've had to learn, and I've learned from some of the best guys in the sport early in my career. Larry Ragland, learned a little bit from Robbie Gordon, and I just picked up all the information, like to the point where like I don't really believe in talent. I think it's kind of like a myth. Everybody that's good at everything has not loved something and they've been obsessed with it. Right. So that level of obsession has fueled their motivation to get to work and learn as much as they can about any particular subject, and that's what John Jones and Michael Jordan and Kobe and all these world-class athletes, they're the best in the world because of obsession. I've always been obsessed with the sport because it's so different from any other form of motorsports.
Wow, that's an interesting take, because a lot of people do say that word talent, right, with sports.
Yeah.
And they say that guy's talented. But it's really the work ethic.
It really is. It's really the work ethic and how much you love it, that will produce your journey through life and whatever it is that you're interested in, and in a certain level will yield a certain amount of skill set in that particular thing. And if you're obsessed with something, your skill set's going to go through the roof. Like all the most world-class athletes in the world in all their wide variety of different sports have been obsessed with this particular subject, so they wanted to become subject matter experts in it, and that's how they became the best in the world. It's my theory, man. Anyways.
You probably hate just driving on the regular streets, then.
I actually love it.
Oh, you love it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. I just wish
I thought it'd be too slow for you.
No, it's not too slow. I just wish laws were different and we can contact other vehicles in traffic. That would be a lot more fun.
Oh, contact like little Bluetooth.
Like push them the out of the way.
That'd be fun. Yeah. Sometimes I want to, man.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes, especially like when you were in Cali for quite some time. The traffic must have been awful.
It still is, but yeah, it's starting to get bad out here.
Yeah, it's in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
it's been a little bit worse.
Yeah, when I first moved here 3 years ago, I could go anywhere at any time and never be in bumper to bumper.
Yeah, it's very quick.
Yeah, now whenever I go to the strip,
LA, yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully it never gets to that point.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Oh man. So these 20-hour races, does it ever get super dark outside?
Oh yeah. We don't go fast enough to follow the path of the sun. One day, let's hope. But it's usually the 1,000 starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then sun sets around 4:30 or something like that, or somewhere around there. So a lot of the race is at night. Sunrise is at 6 a.m. But yeah, that's an added challenge. Most of like I was saying about my form of motorsports, trophy trucks don't slow down. They take forever to slow down. Like if you hit the brakes on and you're going 130 miles an hour, it takes eternity to get that thing slowed down to 50.
Wow.
Because it's not maintaining 100% contact with the ground at all times, specifically in, Baja or in some of the rougher courses out here in Vegas.
That makes sense.
So it's, like bouncing around. So you really have to have a good understanding of what's coming up. And that's where navigation comes into play. We have 2 onboard GPSs as well as a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other electronics in the truck that monitor all the systems. But so what we do is we pre-run, which means we will drive around the course before the race, and then we will put in course notes, like, crest 200, left 3, tree outside, whatever. That will tell me that you can't see over the top of this hill, but don't let off the gas because there's nothing on the other side, even though it looks like you're going to the moon. But it's going to be 300 yards, and then there's going to be kind of a sharp left-hand turn. There's a tree on the outside, so you want to make sure and decelerate enough to make this corner.
Wow.
So we have all these notes in the GPS and a monitor on the passenger side of the vehicle that navigation will read to me to refresh my memory as it relates to what's coming up.
Oh, wow. Read it out loud to you while you're driving?
Yeah, and we have like full face helmets. There's no windshield in my truck. It's all open.
Holy crap.
And that's what feeds the cooling systems. You don't have the coolers in the front because, the rocks from passing other vehicles would puncture the radiators and you'd be screwed. So full face helmets, and we have intercom between both of us so we can talk to each other just like this.
Got it.
And it's pretty cool. There's a little bit of motor noise from a
So you gotta really trust
motor.
Yeah. You got to really trust the guy telling you what to do then.
Yeah, that's very, very important. Navigation is very, very important. And, being able to interpret the course through your notes. And most importantly, like for me, like I always say, I'm not a world-class driver. I'm world-class at fixing bad situations in the truck. So, say I came into a corner like way too fast. I didn't hit the brakes quick enough, and I'm not going to make this corner. Okay, what can I hit that doesn't involve human tissue? That's the softest thing. Like, should I hit that car? Should I hit that rock or that tree that hasn't seen any water in 6 months? What's going to do the least amount of damage? And being able to make that decision on the fly, compartmentalize fear, access a solution. Because even if you blow a corner and you're not going to make it, you still have a little bit of control over what you're going to destroy. And obviously you don't want to, come in contact with fans or some other car.
Oh, there's fans just on the side?
Oh God, yeah.
Wow.
Like at the 1,000, there's, I don't know, 1 million people scattered around the course,
crap.
like
that many
all
people?
the way down. Yeah.
Damn, that's huge.
Yeah, they set up, some of them party a little bit, set up booby traps, and light the course on fire. They stand in the middle of the course while you're going through the bumps.
Wow.
And take pictures and video. And I had a situation at my first Baja 1000 years and years and years ago, where I had a two driver, two navigator team, where I drove 3/4 of it, a little over half of it. And then I had another team get in and drive my truck to the finish line. We ended up getting 5th. It was actually my first Baja 1000, but through a town called San Felipe. They were going through there at 11:30 at night. They were going through big bumps at a high rate of speed. And there was some fans that were a little ornery and drinking a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of them like lobbed a rock like this big into the truck. It skipped off the hood and hit the navigator in the helmet.
Oh my gosh.
Broke his jaw and knocked one of his teeth out. He had to have 27 stitches. He had to go to the emergency room in San Felipe.
Holy.
And somebody else ended up getting in the truck. And while he got fixed up, and we actually still got 5th.
That's impressive.
First Baja 1000. Yeah, I was leading it for probably 6 or 7 hours.
And then that happened?
And then I had some brake troubles with the truck. We bled the brakes at the fuel pit, and then he got in. I think he went 100 miles before that emergency happened. So
you might have even won if that didn't happen.
Maybe. I think, looking back, that was 20 years ago.
Oh, well.
So I was, I was 23 or 24 years old or something like that, 23 years old. And I was a little ornery. So you only have so much truck, to use. If you beat the piss out of the truck, for a certain amount of time, you're not going to have that much truck left. Like the brakes could be smoked. The transmission could lose third gear, second gear, first.
Yeah.
You could have the shocks be worn out, or a wide variety of different problems can happen. So you have to be really, really perfect so that in the last 100 miles of whatever race, or the last 20% of whatever desert race you're at, you have a sword that you can cut people with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you really want to take care of the truck in desert racing, because it's not like road racing, it's not like drifting, it's not like drag racing. No disrespect implied or intended on any of those forms of motorsports. I think they're all awesome. I'm a fan of all of them.
Yeah.
But they're not quite as brutal as going through 3-foot bumps at 110 miles an hour for 20 hours.
For sure. You said you can't even brake, man. I'd be myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
For real. Like, if I can't brake.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up defecation. That's another thing that we don't have the ability to do. I wear a external catheter. It's like a condom.
Yeah.
And it's a hose that runs down my leg.
Oh my gosh.
So we don't pull over to go to the bathroom or anything.
You don't have time.
No, it's a lot faster if you don't get out of the truck.
Yeah. You probably save because if you twice a day, save like 20 minutes, I guess.
Well, I'll do I have a bunch of tricks with my body. I've learned a lot about human performance.
Yeah.
And vitamins and biohacking and all that stuff throughout my entire career. I'll do half a dose of Pepto-Bismol. It's one thing, if you got an upset stomach and you're having to go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
And you take Pepto-Bismol, you're good for a little bit. But if you're fine and you take half a dose, then it puts a pause on your gastrointestinal system.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then, of course, the following day, you got to deal with a few bricks.
Yeah. That's a good trick, though, because I didn't even think about this, but some people probably get nauseous from just bumping up for 10, 20 hours.
Yeah.
So you don't even eat probably beforehand, right? I
eat animal protein, animal fat for breakfast. And I have a certain diet that leads up to the race. But I try and eat not a very crazy breakfast.
Yeah.
Other drivers have different theories. Somebody I'm very close to, I won't say his name, but he was getting in Bay of LA, which is halfway through or 2/3 of the way through the race. And it was his job, because he's a murderer. He's, he's probably the best in the world.
Wow.
One of the best in the world. He had a big breakfast and he was supposed to get in, or a big dinner. He was supposed to get in at about 2:00 in the morning and drive to the finish. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to pack on carbohydrates and get himself sorted to have plenty of energy. Well, he got sick about an hour into the truck and having to go to the bathroom in his number 2 in his pants. And when they got to the finish line, it was all smashed up between his shoulder blades.
Holy
So we were all,
that's so
laughing. It was pretty funny.
Just went flying all over the car.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a switch. So is it a 2-on-2 sport?
No, I usually don't. Most other teams have a couple drivers, and I've had for the 1,000, I've had 2 team drivers for about half of it. The other half, I've driven the whole distance, which is it's a unique challenge, because you're not going. Say if it's 1,000 miles, the Baja 1,000, just for a round number. If you go 500 miles and you get out, and somebody else, another really fantastic driver, drives the other 500 miles. You have a fresh human being in there,
right?
And they only had to be familiar with the last half of the course,
right?
When you drive the whole distance, you have to be familiar with the entire course. So instead of seeing this part 5 times, every corner, every danger, every rise, every jump, every tree, 5 times, you only see everything twice because of how much time it takes to pre-run the whole thing.
Yeah.
In addition to that, going 500 miles in Baja is one thing. It's very, very grueling. Going the next 100 miles is the same amount of effort as the first 500. So it's exponentially more difficult, before you get to the finish line. As it relates to fatigue and stress and wear and tear on your body, like, 50 miles from the finish line of the Baja 1000 when I won in 2012, I could see dead people.
Damn, you're hallucinating.
My shoulder blades were bleeding. The inside of my thighs were bleeding. The tops knuckles of my toes were bleeding.
Holy crap.
Back my shoulder blades, my elbows. And it's not like gnarly blood, but I'm just rubbed raw in certain parts of my body because I'm going like this. My whole body is going like this for 20 hours straight. And then you mix sand, silt, swamp water, dirt, all that stuff. So it wears you down quite a bit. It's a very, very brutal form of race car driving.
Yeah, that's insane. I complain about driving to LA, man, but you're doing that times 10 probably.
Yeah, that's like a cross training event for me. To drive to LA, I'll leave at like 11 o'clock at night in a speedy car and
get there at 1.
Yeah. I think my record from South Vegas to East LA was hour and 58 minutes.
Holy crap. So you actually did it in 2 hours. I was joking. But.
Yeah, that was on, I forget which holiday it was on. I think it was on Christmas Day or something like that.
Yeah.
Where there was everybody was off the highway. And I was in a Z06 Corvette at the time. And really, like when I was doing that, I was young and silly. I had radar detector. I was always very, very safe. And obviously I knew what I was doing. The key to doing that safely, or doing that in a certain period of time, is the fuel consumption. Because I can get from here to state line in 7.5 minutes, but I'm going to go through half a tank of gas. If there was no other cars on the road. So if I had 80-gallon fuel cell in a Corvette or something like that, obviously I could do a little bit better as it relates to traveling that distance in a short amount of time. But I used to do that. But now even late at night, traffic's quite a bit more dense. Yeah. So, but yeah, I love all forms of driving.
I love it, man. What do you got coming up next, and where can people find out more about what you're up to, man?
We're kind of picking and choosing our races this year. Like I said, we won a championship last year, won, a third of the races that we competed in the last 2 years. So I think we're planning on going to the Baja 400. We got some data collection, some testing that we're going to do with the truck in the next month. And, we're constantly evolving our team. Right now we're doing suspension development. We're changing some gear ratios in the truck and developing some powertrain stuff, and always trying to get better. My truck, every trophy truck, after a race, they come completely apart. So most of the time, the truck is not on the ground. It's on jack stands. It looks like a very small jungle gym on a playground. Because it gets beat to death every single race. Even if you have a race that's, you didn't have any contact with anything or another truck, or didn't blow a tire off, and you don't have any particular stress points that you remember that you have to have looked at, and everything went smoothly, you still have to pull, upper and lower control arms, uprights, all the four-link in the back, all the suspension, the rear end housing, pull the whole thing apart and inspect every joint that is welded together, make sure there's no cracks, gear sets and transmissions get rebuilt, the motor gets a leak down, then it has to get completely reassembled and go to the chassis dyno, which is basically like a treadmill for, I'm sure you've seen that with hot rod cars. They go on the chassis dyno. My truck goes to the chassis dyno, gets tuned by Dugan's Racing Engines. Chris Allen Motorsports does all the prep. And then we have a separate community of pit guys that help us, throughout the races. Chris Allen does a fantastic job on the truck. He's built the most reliable version of my truck that I can lean on. Like I said, a blade that I can cut the competition with. But yeah, my race truck's usually only together about 25 days out of the year.
Holy crap. This is an expensive sport. I didn't realize you had to replace it every race.
Yeah, a lot of parts just need to be pulled apart and inspected. Our motor's like $125,000 big block.
Holy crap, just for the motor?
Just for the motor.
Oh my, that's more than a car.
Yeah. No, it's $1 million piece of equipment that throws rocks and makes dust.
Damn.
But like I said, I think it's the greatest form of motorsport in the world.
I'm gonna start watching, man, for real.
Yeah, for sure. Next time I'm testing, you should come out. I'll take you up the block. I've never taken anybody for a ride.
I don't think I would do that.
Well, nobody that's gotten scared.
Yeah.
I've taken lots of people for rides. Like I have a test loop that's 13 and a half miles. I usually get it done in about 10 and a half minutes. It's very, very rough. There's corners. There's lots of stuff. But I know it very, very well. So it's absolutely effortless for me to go on my test loop at like Mach 5, because I know it so well. And I've never taken anybody for a ride when I was testing, doing suspension and powertrain development, never taken anybody for a ride that's gotten scared. I was just talking to my friend about this about 30 minutes ago. No one has ever been scared to ride with me.
Really?
They're scared to get in and putting on their belts. You have like a fire suit and a helmet and a decel to make sure you don't come unplugged if we crash. Fresh air system, intercom, like all this that you have to put on to get in this thing that doesn't have doors or windows.
Yeah.
That's supposed to go 118 miles an hour through 3-4 foot bumps. So there's anxiety related to that event when I get the opportunity to take somebody for a ride. But it's gone like about 20 seconds into me leaving our pit area. As soon as I start going down the course, because they're like terrified until I get to like 30 or 50, which is like 15 seconds maybe.
Interesting. So it's like public speaking.
Well, they're confused. They don't understand how it's happening. Like in their mind, especially people that drive like Jeeps or Raptors or something like that. I think in their mind, they're like, if I was to do this in my truck, it would explode, because there's no way that I could do more than like 25 or 26 miles an hour here in my Raptor or my Jeep. And we're going 126. Like they don't quite understand it. So most people, it's a very unique experience for them because the camera doesn't really capture how spectacular the trucks are and what they can do.
Absolutely.
So they're very special.
It's interesting. Anything else you want to close off with, man? It's been fun.
No, thanks for having me. It was really cool to meet you and be on your podcast, and I appreciate it. And everybody can follow me on Instagram at BJ Baldwin, at BJ Baldwin 97 on Twitter, BJ Baldwin 97 on YouTube. Facebook is Ballistic BJ Baldwin, and we're excited about the rest of our season. So thanks for having us.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.